UNC shuts down Valley's divisive agenda, a turning point in unity in the hills. By ZalengamMedia Desk. In a landmark press statement released on July 30, 2025, the United Naga Council UNC, the apex political body representing the Naga people in Manipur, reaffirmed its traditional wisdom by decisively distancing itself from the Valley-centric narrative that sought to exploit the Naga identity for its own political goals. This intervention, met with widespread appreciation among several hill communities including the Kuki people, marked a significant break from recent trends of confusion and ambiguity pushed by certain Valley-based platforms and individuals. The UNC's intervention not only halted the divisive momentum, but also re-established its role as the foremost custodian of Naga interests and unity. More importantly, this development carries profound implications for the future of inter-community relations in Manipur, particularly between the Kukis and Nagas, whose relationship has historically been marked by tension, mistrust, and manipulation from external forces. Background: manipulation of hill communities by the Valley elites. The recent press statement from the UNC came at a time when various narratives were being constructed in the Imphal Valley, attempting to project a united front of Hill Valley unity, particularly using selective hill voices to legitimize what many hill communities viewed as a Meitei-dominated political and territorial ambition. In this context, Ashang Kasar, president of the Indigenous Peoples Forum Manipur, IPFM, had come under criticism for allegedly aligning with Valley interests and projecting a narrative that seemed to position the Nagas against the Kukis, reviving fears of hill-hill division. By attempting to blur distinctions between the historical grievances and unique political aspirations of different hill groups, these moves, critics argue, were part of a broader agenda to isolate and delegitimize the Kukizo resistance, especially in light of the ongoing ethnic conflict in Manipur since May 2023. It is in this climate of suspicion and distortion that the UNC's statement landed like a bolt of clarity, reaffirming that the Naga people, under the wise stewardship of the UNC, would not become tools in the hands of any divisive elements. This action effectively blocked the strategic misuse of the Naga name by sections of the Meitei elite and their supporting platforms. UNC's wisdom applauded across communities. Among those who welcomed the UNC's stand were several Kuki civil society voices and intellectuals who lauded the Naga body for its statesmanlike maturity and long-term vision. Many noted that the UNC, by refusing to fall into the trap of the Valley's manipulative politics, had restored a sense of moral high ground in Manipur's fractured political landscape. The Kuki community, which has often borne the brunt of both Meitei state suppression and targeted misinformation, praised the UNC's rejection of narratives that sought to paint the hill communities as antagonistic to each other. Social media platforms lit up with Kuki voices acknowledging the historical responsibility shown by the UNC in safeguarding not only Naga interests, but also intertribal harmony. By decoupling itself from voices like Ashang Kasar, the UNC also sent a clear message that only the collective, consensus-based decisions of its constituent bodies carry legitimacy, not unilateral positions by individuals, even if they belong to Naga groups. This clarification is seen as both a corrective and preventive move, safeguarding the future of Naga diplomacy and solidarity. ZalengamMedia analysis, shifting equations in the hills. At the heart of this unfolding political episode is a deeper realignment of inter-community equations in the hills of Manipur and beyond. For decades, the hill people of Manipur, particularly the Kukis and Nagas, have experienced internal conflict, exacerbated by state-led divide-and-rule strategies and mutual historical grievances. However, the recent conflict with the dominant Meitei community in the valley has begun to expose the shared vulnerabilities and existential concerns that transcend past rivalries. The Meitei-dominated political establishment's attempts to project the Nagas as natural adversaries of the Kukis have largely failed, especially as more Nagas begin to recognize the valley's historical role in manipulating both hill communities. By maintaining an unwavering position on the Naga people's political aspirations, autonomy, land rights, and cultural identity, the UNC's latest stance distances itself from those trying to pit one hill group against another. What's most remarkable is that this action didn't require aligning with the Kukis, nor did it compromise Naga aspirations. Instead, the UNC simply stood by its principles, rejecting all forms of opportunistic political behavior that do not serve the Naga people's interest. In doing so, it inadvertently created space for greater empathy between Nagas and Kukis. The end of Ashang Kasar's influence. One of the significant fallouts of the UNC's statement has been the marginalization of voices like Ashang Kasar's, whose platform IPFM was seen actively trying to build a Naga-Meitei alliance at the expense of broader Hill solidarity. Ashang Kasar, once considered a moderate Naga voice by some valley-based commentators, has now lost credibility among many within the Naga and Kuki intellectual and political circles. His portrayal of the Kuki struggle as externally supported or illegitimate, and his attempts to universalize the valley's perspectives have backfired. The UNC's clear disassociation from his views underscores that he does not speak for the broader Naga public. This development reasserts that legitimate political representation within the Naga community lies with the UNC, not self-styled intermediaries or platforms driven by opportunism. A forward path, unity through wisdom, not alliance. The current moment presents an opportunity, perhaps for the first time in decades, for genuine introspection and a re-evaluation of Hill community relations. The Kukis, despite their continued struggle for security and recognition, have not wavered in expressing their willingness for peaceful coexistence with their Naga brethren. The UNC's recent action opens a new channel through which mutual respect and acknowledgement of each community's political narratives can be fostered. It is essential to understand that unity does not necessitate homogenization. The Kukis and Nagas may have separate histories, aspirations, and political goals, but their shared challenges under an increasingly centralized and dominant Meitei state structure provide common ground for strategic understanding. Both communities have experienced cultural marginalization, systemic exclusion, and military operations that violated their human rights. As such, the emerging dialogue should not be about one community submitting to another, but rather about respecting each other's sovereignty, traditions, and future trajectories. UNC's strategic diplomacy, a lesson in restraint. Unlike other political platforms that rush to issue statements aligning with powerful actors, the UNC's decision-making reflects a patient, consultative process grounded in its time-tested wisdom. This tradition has ensured the Naga body maintains legitimacy among its people, despite the political turbulence surrounding it. By withdrawing from the valley's co-optation tactics and reaffirming its internal unity, the UNC demonstrates that diplomacy is not about publicity or sudden alignment, but about long-term vision, respect for its people, and refusal to be used. This act is not only a political stance, but a moral one, of not enabling further violence, division, or hatred between the Hill brethren. It reclaims the Naga name from being misused and reaffirms the principle that unity cannot be manufactured by outsiders. Conclusion, a defining moment in Hill politics. The July 30, 2025, statement from the United Naga Council may go down as a defining moment in the political history of Manipur's Hill communities. By refusing to be pawns in a greater game of divide and rule, and instead standing firm on principle and history, the UNC has paved the way for more honest and respectful relations between the Kukis and Nagas. The UNC's action signals that wisdom and maturity still hold value in a time of chaos and manipulation. It sends a message to the valley-centric powers that Hill politics is not a puppet show to be directed from Imphal, but a living, breathing reality rooted in history, pain, struggle, and pride. For the Kuki people, the act is a breath of fresh air, a signal that old enemies might not be enemies forever, and that through dialogue, mutual recognition, and principled leadership, the future may yet be built on brotherhood rather than blame. Disclaimer. This article is an analytical interpretation and documentation by ZalengamMedia, based on the public press release of the United Naga Council, dated July 30, 2025, along with socio-political developments observed in the region. The views presented aim to foster constructive understanding between communities and should not be misconstrued as partisan or inflammatory. The content avoids direct replication of any press statement and represents a journalistic perspective rooted in research and field insight. Sources: United Naga Council Press Statement, July 30, 2025. Indigenous Peoples Forum Manipur, IPFM, Statements and Public Appearances. Local hill-based civil society reactions on social media. Past reports and publications on Kuki-Naga relations and Valley Hill political dynamics. ZalengamMedia Field Network inputs from Manipur.